This video is about Symphony No. 45, the Farewell Symphony by Joseph Haydn. I will explain the most important things about the work and the composer. Joseph Haydn composed his Symphony No. 45 in F-sharp minor, known as the Farewell Symphony, in 1772. He wrote the work while he was employed as a conductor at the court of Prince Esterhazy. The nickname Farewell Symphony arose from the unusual performance practice of the last movement. Haydn created this work as a creative solution to a practical problem. The musicians wanted to return to their families after a long summer stay at Esterhazy Palace. The symphony shows Haydn's ingenuity and his sense of musical humor. The Farewell Symphony follows the four-movement structure, but deviates from the norm in the last movement. The first movement is a passionate allegro assai in sonata form. The second movement is an adagio in A major. The third movement is a minuet with trio. The fourth movement begins as a finale presto, but then changes to a slow adagio. This last movement contains the famous farewell scene that gave the symphony its name. The last movement of the Farewell Symphony is particularly noteworthy. During the slow adagio section, the musicians stop playing one by one, extinguish their candles, and leave the hall. In the end, only two violinists remain to quietly finish the piece. This unusual performance practice was intended to symbolically show Prince Esterhazy that the musicians wanted to return home. Haydn thus ingeniously combined musical composition with a practical message. The Farewell Symphony is written in F-sharp minor, an unusual and expressive key for the time. The first movement is passionate and almost stormy in character. Haydn uses contrasting themes and dramatic dynamic changes. The slow second movement offers a lyrical contrast. The minuet returns to the intensity of the first movement. The last movement begins lively, but becomes increasingly quieter and ends in a contemplative mood. Haydn thus creates an emotional arc from excitement to calm. In the Farewell Symphony, Haydn shows off his orchestration skills. He uses a typical classical orchestra of his time, but uses the instruments in a creative way. Particularly striking is the use of two horns and two English horns, which give the work a special timbre. In the last movement, Haydn gradually reduces the instrumentation, which creates a unique sound effect. He thus creates a palette of timbres that ranges from full and powerful to delicate and intimate. The exact circumstances of the premiere are not known, but it is assumed that it took place at Esterhazy Palace. According to tradition, Prince Esterhazy was so impressed by the creative message of the symphony that he fulfilled the musicians' wish and moved the court back to Eisenstadt. This story, whether true or not, underlines the impact that Haydn's musical humor and creativity had. The Farewell Symphony is an important work in Haydn's symphonic output. It shows his ability to combine musical innovation with practical purposes. The symphony represents Haydn's love of experimentation and humor. It is an example of the Sturmjuwendige style in his music, characterized by emotional intensity and dramatic contrasts. The symphony influenced subsequent composers in their treatment of the orchestra and in the design of programmatic elements. The Farewell Symphony was written at a time when Haydn enjoyed great artistic freedom at the Esterhazy court. It reflects the close relationships between composers, musicians, and patrons in the 18th century. At the same time, it shows Haydn's growing self-confidence as a composer and his ability to use music as a means of communication. The symphony marks the beginning of Haydn's mature style and already points to his later innovations. The Farewell Symphony is regularly performed in concerts today. Modern interpretations vary in their realization of the farewell scene. Some orchestras stick closely to Haydn's original idea, while others develop their own creative productions. The symphony is often used in thematic concert programs to demonstrate Haydn's humor and innovative power. It remains a fascinating work that impresses both musicians and listeners with its originality and emotional depth.